teach salespeople during the week. So I'll be like, when you do new hire sales training, all they're thinking about is getting out of that class and starting to make money. So Monday morning, you're like, good morning, everybody, and they're like, well, like, you're very unhappy for people that are starting a new job. And so it's one of those things, which is what I want to kind of chat about today. And I want to chat about how spirit in the universe, or infinite intelligence, leads us on a path to make us stronger as spiritual beings having a human experience. So I'm very interactive, so I'm going to ask questions and stuff like that to kind of draw us out so we can kind of relate to this. That's the corporate trainer in me. I apologize in advance. But let's just start here. Who's ever been in a moment where you know things, or you're kind of getting at that place where as a person, you're going to cross that threshold into an area that's not comfortable for you? Anybody been there before? But you know you're on the right path. You know it. Your spirit guides are like, I call my spirit guides my coaches. They're the ones that are like, yes, you can do this, come on, step over the line, step over the line. Can anybody relate to this? Yeah. Well, that's what they're there for. They're there to help us cross that threshold into that area of being uncomfortable, because they know when you cross that line, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. Can anybody relate to that? It happens all the time, doesn't it? And it doesn't matter how high you get in your frequency, there's another level of frequency that you're going to go into that's going to make you just as uncomfortable. But when you break through it, your energy does this. Everybody relate to that? Yeah. And you're like, wow, that was really a lot of fun. I'm excited. So I'll give you an example of this. I've been doing great this year. I've been speaking in a lot of churches. This is the dream that I wanted to do, to be to travel and connect with new people, all that kind of stuff. And then on Friday, I'm a learning and development consultant for New York Life. They called me and said, by the way, we're ending your contract 3 months early. We're doing that on August 11th. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. So the human being does what? We panic. However, this is where you discipline yourself as a spiritual being having a human experience. Anybody ever heard of an author named Catherine Ponder? It's the Dynamic Laws of Healing. One of the things that she teaches in there is you have to say to that human side, you have to say no to that part of you. That ego stands for what? Edging God out. Has everybody ever heard that one before? I say that God stands for goodness over doubt. So when you say that, you have to say to that fearful voice of, what are you going to do? And I'm like, no. We're going to have the best of everything, because you are children of what? This great infinite intelligence. You are within that, and you're an individual being within that experience. So you know that everything you go through is for your what? Highest and best good. And if you know that you deserve the highest and best good, and you actually are the embodiment of the highest and best good, if you know that, then you know everything is taken care of. So you have to say no to that fear and say, show me the lesson, whatever it is that I need to see of the highest and best good. However, I know that whatever is coming next is going to be just as exciting, just as amazing as this was before. Can anybody relate to that? And then you have these cool things happen. Who's ever had these moments where you're like, wow, that really just happened. You can't make this stuff up. Who's ever experienced that before? So that happened to me about 2 months ago. I got a call from a recruiter that said, or a headhunter that said, hey, listen, I have this potential contract for a consulting gig, and it's going to give me more freedom to do my healing work and spiritual work, and it's increasing my income by about $100,000 a year. And so, but he said it's probably not going to start until August. So now the ego goes, well, I've talked to him, but I haven't gotten the final say. So this is the little child in us. This is where your spirit team goes, wait a second, you remember that thing you had going on and all these other opportunities? And so then you have to say to your energy, no, we deserve the best of everything, but we want it divinely given. And then you say, and now, no more struggle, make it easy. And why do you do this? Because if you are the co-creator of your existence, start declaring the way you want it. Don't get caught up in all the details. Just say, I know I deserve the best of everything, and I want it, make it divinely given, make it easy. You'll start seeing some pretty incredible results in your life. It doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter about anything else. All that you need, obviously, but infinite intelligence knows what your bills are. So I got a reading. I used to speak at this conference in Cincinnati called Victory of Light. And so I was there and I got a reading from this woman. She goes, you know, you're a really great teacher. She goes, but remember, don't forget, the infinite intelligence, or God, whatever you want to refer to it as, knows what your responsibilities are. Stop worrying about how it happens and start knowing that it's going to happen. But as human beings, our mind starts going into I call it the mind poison, which I talk about in my book that I have here today. I call it the mind poison. The mind poison comes in and says, well, you know, you have to think about all this stuff. How are you going to pay for your electric bills? Who's been there before? Any entrepreneur in the room has been there before. So, not even entrepreneurs, anybody's been there before. The last recession, a lot of you guys are probably there. It's probably been scary the past 3 years, but these are the opportunities for us to get in communion with our spiritual team and say, I know you got me. And I know I'll act on the opportunities of that. That's where we switch from the faith into what? Knowing. And when we get into the knowing energy, when that mind poison comes in, because that's not going to stop. But what these opportunities are is an opportunity for you to get stronger in who you are. Who's ever been to the gym before? And you're like, oh, it's like thinking, this hurts so much. But who's done it for like 6 months or more? And then you start to see the results, right? And you start, but it's like that in life. Everything we start off with is a goal. We start seeing the end result, and we're like, that mountain of a goal is so big that we start getting overwhelmed with it. This is when you tell your spiritual team, you say, take me on the journey that I need to be in the now of the moment, and build me into that. As Esther Hicks would have said, build us into the frequency until we are vibrational match with what? Our goals. So it doesn't have to be to do with the gym, it can be with anything. I have a friend that wants to, I was just telling them earlier, she's a client and a friend, she's a nurse practitioner, and she's actually tired of being a nurse practitioner. She's been doing it for 30 years. She wants to go restore old homes and castles and beautiful homes and stuff like that. She goes, and I know how to do it. I know how to do all the carpentry work and everything that goes along with it. She goes, I'm so sick. I've only become a nurse because my mother said, as a woman, I need to have a job that helps me support myself, and I need to be strong. I need to be a strong woman. She goes, I don't want to fulfill that world anymore. Well, she just took a job in Charlottesville as a nurse practitioner, but she called me up and she goes, Jared, there's all these old houses that I can rehab up here. What happens? The universe takes you on a journey. And so the nurse practitioner supports her, but guess what? She's talking about leaving. She owned the Gene Saracen house in Newport Richey. Is anybody golfers in here? He's the one that created this move called the sand wedge. And he's one of the few Grand Slam career golfers, where he's back in like 30s and 40s. Well, he lived in Newport Richey right next to Shirley Temple. You know, his house is right in that area. So anyways, long story short, she owned that house and rehabbed it. It was her dream all of her life to own that house since she was a little girl, and she bought it. And then ended up selling it 8 months later. Why am I telling you that story? I'm telling you that story because we can all relate to being on a journey and having to do things that we don't necessarily want to do, except we have to bless those moments, in those moments, because we don't want that mind poison to come in and say, I'm a failure, I'm still doing this, and I really want to be doing this. There's a thing called divine timing and divine order. And what that is that's a natural law called the law of gestation. And what does that mean? Well, you know, I'm sure that some women in the room would have loved to be able to have their baby pop out as soon as it was conceived and not have to go through labor and everything like that, like a Polaroid, and just jumped out and not have to go through all the pain. But the truth is the baby had to prepare itself, right? And actually had to grow in the womb. Well, just like you, as a human being, you have to grow into your goals. And that's the one thing, and I always say this, could just imagine somebody walks up to you and says, I know you need this surgery, and I'm a surgeon. And they say, oh, great, what school did you go to? Well, I haven't gone to school yet, but I am going to be a surgeon. I'm going to do your surgery tomorrow. What are you going to say? Absolutely not, because they haven't prepared themselves to be the surgeon, right? And so that's one thing that happens, and then the mind starts going into, well, I just want it to happen right now. I have a really good friend that is switching from medical billing into real estate. And he's scared. Everybody's saying this is a bad time to go into real estate because of all the interest rates. Well, he just landed a deal with 100 houses at $1 million a piece. And so what ends up happening? The universe prepares you for what you set yourself up for. And it's about knowing that you deserve. And so I'm going to this is a rhetorical question, I'm just going to throw it out there. Nobody has to answer it, I want you to think about it. Do you think you deserve the best of everything? And the answer is no, nothing else other than yes or no. Why is it yes or no? Because if you start going into the, well, maybe, I don't know, sure, then the answer is what? No. And so that friend that started in real estate, when he passed the real estate exam on one try, he lands this deal where he's going to get these 100 houses. Now he's afraid he's not going to pass the course that he needs to be able to handle those houses. I was like, do you believe you deserve to be successful in this? And he starts going into the, no, it's either yes or no. Because if you're in the middle between in the no or worrying about it, then you're missing the opportunity to be in the now of the moment with the presence of Spirit. With the presence of whatever joy you're going to experience from growing into that. Can anybody relate to this? Where you're just kind of, it's called wishy-washy energy. It's where you're just like, well, I really think that I want to do that. And I'm sure everybody here has heard of the law of attraction, right? Well, law of attraction is called cause and effect. So if cause and effect is you're in wishy-washy energy, the universe is like, well, I'm not sure if they want this or not. Because it's all wishy-washy. So they give you what? Wishy-washy manifestations, where you kind of get a little bit, and you get excited. And your spiritual guides are sitting there saying, listen, if this is what you want, let's do it. And I'll take you on the journey to get you there. But you have to get your energy in alignment to where you get to that place. So enjoy the journey getting there. And when the mind poison comes in, you say, no, on a journey here. I'm on my way to experience something at the highest and best good. And I want my frequency to be there at the highest and best good. This is why you build yourself up. And instead of having the mind and, well, am I on the right path? Your purpose, your physical soul purpose, happens in this moment. So I was just telling Carla that my dream is to take people across the world to different spiritual experiences like Jerusalem. I'm taking a group to Scotland in November, Machu Picchu, that kind of stuff. That's my dream. And I happen to know like Peruvian shamans, and I've become friends with Raymond Moody through having a podcast. And imagine taking him to Greece, since he's got a major in Greek philosophy. He's got his PhD in Greek philosophy. So imagine taking him with a group of people. So that's where I want my dream to go. Can anybody have dreams that they want to do over the next 10 years? You want to experience things? What I want you to do is I want you to start seeing your dreams and looking at them and saying, right now, I want to experience joy right now. Because what ends up happening is we start seeing that dream and we feel like there's still an energy in you, there might be still an energy in you that says, well, I'm not sure if I deserve that right now, or that's still in the future. You want to start feeling the presence of joy right now. So in this moment, we're at this beautiful temple here, experiencing spiritual energy. That's something to be excited about. That's something to be really excited about. So feel that energy, and then you start to feel and see your dreams. Because you want to manifest and create it by feeling it, that energy of happiness that you think you're going to have done. So I always say this comes down to, remember Christmas morning when you were a kid? You were walking out, what were you thinking? I remember specifically when I was 7, I was walking down, we had a little single wide trailer in Fargo, North Dakota. And I was walking, you remember how they used to make trailers with the long hallway? And I was walking down and I was getting ready to turn that corner. And there was the cookies that I made for Santa Claus were already eaten. And then all these presents, presents everywhere, Tonka toys and everything else. But imagine the experience of a 7-year-old being excited. Can anybody relate to this? Remember being 7? And then you realize that later on in life that it was your mother that ate the cookies, not Santa Claus. But the dream made you feel so excited. That's the kind of frequency and energy you want to bring in. And then Spirit's like, yes, yes, finally. They're not bogged down with guilt and fear and anxiety of uncertainty. They are excited and their energy is bringing them to an experience. And you may get there. I remember when I got into a job that I wanted and I was like, this isn't what I expected. I don't really like this. And I was younger, I was in my 20s, and I heard, well, I just want to change this. And so what do? You take the steps to go And God and the universe gives us free will. And when we're younger, I'm sure everybody can relate to this, we run into walls and we get caught in weird situations and we make a lot of mistakes. Can anybody relate to this? I'm 49, almost 50 years old, and I still make mistakes. And so, but the truth is, what do you get from those mistakes? Wisdom. So you get wisdom. So it's not a mistake, it's an opportunity to grow spiritually. And then you'll have the opportunity to start to say, well, I know that didn't work, so I'm not going in that direction again. You know, so, but you don't get that until you start to experience it. And your spiritual team will guide you in an area down a road and be like, well, I know I need to take them this direction because they have to see that's not going to work. And then I'm going to help them guide to a right turn back to get back on track. Can anybody relate to that? So allow yourself to be. As I heard a speaker once say, you have to be, do. Meaning you have to be in that presence of being, and then you have to do. Because through doing and then being, doing is the actions that you learn from, and the being is where you process that and grow. So don't miss it. Don't miss your opportunities to grow as a spiritual being, and start really disciplining your mind. And I actually say strengthening your mind better. It's like being in that gym and strengthening your muscles. You want to strengthen your spiritual, your body, mind, and spirit in the now of the moment. In the now of the moment with that infinite intelligence, and do it in love and gratitude. And I'll leave you guys with that.